Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BetSperts.
Welcome to The Deep Dive, Week 4. I need a winning week, Andy. Drawing down the old actively managed bankroll pretty aggressively through 3 weeks this season. I'm at the point where I'm going to need to stake down and or just completely revise my approach if I have another week like it has been going, because it hasn't just been like losing a little couple coin flips here and there, flipping the 5-4 to a 4-5 type of season for me so far. It's been pretty poor performance, and so kind of need to run good this week and turn things around.
At the beginning of a YouTube video, best practice is to hit them with a hook, get them excited to listen. And we started with, "It's been a rough year, guys. So sorry. Well, it wasn't that bad of a week for me. Yeah,
we typically
we keep it transparent.
Straightforward.
Yeah, no, I'm just laughing because if there's like a new listener, they're like, "Well, fuck these guys." No, I mean it was a bad week. And my first 2 weeks weren't especially hot. Had some winners, had some losers. Didn't play a lot of props yet. I've been kind of steering away from getting too deep into the weeds early in the season, because you go back and look at what you've done in previous years, and I came out of the gates firing last year on a bunch of stuff, and it's like, oh, that was a bad idea, because a lot of it was just unknown, and I think there's a better way to attack the unknown rather than the way I did it. So I'm excited for this week. I got a few sides I really like, and I don't know, I had some sides I liked last week, but now we're working with more information. We've seen teams play a few games. We've seen teams play a few different kinds of teams.
I feel like there's still a huge missing piece of the puzzle, and we now are kind of going through this where a lot of teams are missing important players, and so you're kind of guessing as to the value of certain players in certain
that's
situations.
every year.
Yeah, and like Zach Tom for the Packers is a good example. Like, how much is the right tackle for the Packers worth in a neutral game? Like, he's a really good player. He's probably worth something. But against the team that doesn't have any guys that can rush the passer, maybe not that much. But last week against the Browns, he certainly mattered a lot, right? So there's still a lot of guesswork for I think a lot of these games across the NFL, and weirdly, like the quote unquote low hanging fruit, like the sides that are just wildly off any type of market number you can come up with, or your own numbers you can come up with. Like, you're just gonna have to make a decision. Like, do you hold your nose and take the points with the likes of the Saints and the Bengals and maybe even the Jets? Do you do you get involved with teams that you think are good but are massively injured, like the Bucs or the Cowboys? So I don't know. But it's going to be a weird week 4. I don't even know that I'm going to have confidence, even if I have a winning week coming out of this, just based on how all
go
5-0,
not feeling good. Yeah.
Well, I feel like the NFL to this point feels very coin flippy. It feels very much like the results have kind of come down to some pretty fluky, unpredictable, noisy, aleatory variability type of shit. And I don't know. It's tough to bet into that. So without further ado, let's talk about Thursday Night Football, which is traditionally some of the most random football we get because of the short week, because of the lack of prep. A lot of familiarity between these teams as we have a divisional matchup on Thursday Night Football this week for the second straight week. This time we go to the NFC West, where the Seattle Seahawks, darlings of Week 3, coming out with a clean, no doubt winner, covering the spread against the Saints, head to Arizona. A team that's a little bit of a mystery, a little bit of how do you really rate this squad, particularly the offense? Not a lot of injuries that matter in this one, but certainly not a lot of difference makers for the Cardinals offensively to this point in the season to expect that they're going to be able to go toe-to-toe with the Seattle Seahawks defense that I think we feel is pretty fairly regarded as top 5. How do you approach Thursday Night Football, or do you bet Thursday Night Football?
I did already, and my favorite thing to do is when I bet early in the week is just to float it out in the Discord and see what kind of emojis I get. It's nice to see. It's nice when you get a handshake emoji. It means, oh yeah, I did that too. You have a brother in arms. You don't want the bad ones. You don't want the poops. You don't want the clowns. You don't want anything like that. So this could be an ugly one, but I I do make Seattle a favorite here. I bet it when it was +1. I told you that I was annoyed because the place I wanted to bet it didn't have a money lineup. They just gave you the +1, and it's flipped.
The juice at the time.
Yeah. So again, it's not a ton of. It's moving my way, but flipping from 1 to 1 is not a serious move. It's pretty small in the grand scheme of things. So still kind of hanging out there at the 1.5 for Seattle. A lot of it is just the injury stuff. Having to go, it's a good enough backup running back, I suppose. But the fact that you lost a running back and a wide receiver and you're still banged up in the secondary, I do believe the Seattle defense is pretty good. Not that, and this will be the funny thing. I thought about this when I bet it because I was pissed I had to bet the +1, but I did just retweet a clip from that game because somebody posted it. The infamous 6-6 tie where they both missed multiple kicks, I think, in overtime, or there was multiple kicks late in the game and in overtime that were missed. It was
very
awful.
short kicks were missed.
I've told the story. I passed out late in that game, woke up, and I don't even remember what team I bet. I cannot tell you without going and looking back. I bet one of the teams at a pick 'em and took a push somehow in that game, which whatever. So I do believe in the Seattle defense. Defense travels. I upgraded them a little closer to where you had them. I was lower on them last week than you were. But again, it's hard to take anything from that game away for the most part. It looks like it is shaping up to be a pretty well-coached, well-executed defense. And I didn't touch much with the offense. It's, again, you played the Saints, guys. It's not something we should be, we can't take that and really push the up button for that. But at the same time, the Packers lost to the Browns. You got to go out there and beat the bad teams. And they beat the tar out of a bad team. And right now, I don't like where Arizona's at. So betting some Seattle minus, well, I'd still play it at -1 because I make this closer to 2. And again, with the, I don't know, the defensive advantage, I just think they have a decent advantage on both sides of the ball right now.
Yeah. Yeah. The rush defense has been better than I expected. I had them kind of middling to start the year. I'm up to they're starting to get up to just flat out good type of rating for me. Pass rush is incredible. I think both Murphy and Leonard Williams are playing out of their minds so far. Coverage, other than the Tariq Woolen busts against the Niners in the fourth quarter of that game, the coverage has been awesome all year, even in the absence of Devin Witherspoon. So, I think the Seahawks controlling things here makes sense. It is worth noting Devin Witherspoon was limited in practice yesterday. Eman Wari was limited in practice yesterday. Love was limited in practice. So these guys might actually come back, which is a little bit of a surprise. Not expecting Leonard Williams, Ernest Jones, or Mafe to be an issue, and they may get some reinforcements back with Chardonnay as well. So he was a full participant on Tuesday. We'll get more information on all this today, but I agree with you that Seattle's the right side there. There's no cohesion right now with what's going on with this Cardinals passing offense. It is just kind of a flat out mess. I thought that they were going to lean a little bit more into the types of plays where Kyler Murray had more run pass options at his disposal and was going to press the run button more this year. It hasn't been that way at all. It's been a very clunky offense. And in general, the Marvin Harrison Jr. lowlights are just a flat out bummer. Wouldn't be surprised if they just softly pivot away from Harrison Jr. as part of the game plan until he gets his mind right, because it's not going great. Right now, the Cardinals kind of in the mix, in the miasma of, somewhat unimpressive offenses in the NFL with the Pittsburghs and the Kansas Cities of the world. So not sure that gets corrected on a short week against Seattle.
Short week, down a receiver, down a running back, banged up offensive line, and certainly a cluster injury still in the secondary. So it's Seattle for me. It's gross because it's not even a huge edge on paper, but it's one of the ones I like the most.
Okay.
Give me defense on a short week.
It works for me. Two coaches who have experience preparing for Thursday Night Football, so no, no rookie head coach edge. In fact, I don't even know if we have a rookie head coach taking a Thursday night team until like the end of the year this year. So probably not an angle, which is a bummer. Let's move to Sunday, where we have 2:51 early kickoff, 6:30 a.m. for us on the Pacific Coast. So gotta rein it in a little Saturday, I suppose. I'm probably not going to, but I should. Your Minnesota Vikings are technically on the road in Dublin against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I have not gotten news on the final travel for the Vikings. Steelers went over today. Steelers made it clear and announced to everybody they adjusted their schedules to be to try to get onto Greenwich Mean Time, or whatever the correct time is in Ireland, I suppose. We have a market.
I think the whole island.
Vikings. The whole island?
Yeah, I think the whole island's
the island of Ireland.
No, the whole British Isles is on one time zone, because there's not that many time zones in Europe. It's like that one, the mainland, Eastern Europe, and then 14 for Russia.
Okay, so we'll say Dublin is on Greenwich Mean Time as London is. That's what we're going with.
I think so.
World clock. I gotta look this up. There's a lot of
look at the world clock.
I'll look that up while I kind of want to get your take on the Carson Wentz era. I have a specific take on this, but I want to hear your thoughts first, since you're kind of plugged in locally. They made no pause, just immediately. Yep, JJ McCarthy's remains out. Wentz is our guy. He will start against the Steelers. Darisaw expecting him to be effectively get a full rep snaps this week. And then the defense getting healthier for the Vikings, while they are still missing a couple pieces on the offensive line. Big news also, though, Jordan Addison will be back in the mix. So a lot of skill position players for Carson Wentz to go to town with. What is your temperature on the Carson Wentz era?
So, I mean, two ways here. It was an extremely positive, easy, soft game state for him almost the entire day against the Bengals. They went and scored first, actually. He had a nice scripted drive, but then the defense putting him in a 14-0 hole, and then the defense continuing to harass. Geez, you see that Browning has 5 interceptions. He's thrown the ball 59 times. That is a clip. That is a high clip, and it makes me worry in the future. I guess when you go against Isaiah Rodgers, you know what you're going to get, though, which is just crazy. What a day for that guy. So you have that on one hand. On the other hand, you have a veteran, not only a guy who, they use this as a negative. A lot of people, you've been with 6 teams in 6 years, and that's a bad thing. It also means he's been through the ringer, and he's learned a bunch of different playbooks. He's been through that process, getting up to speed in a hurry to a new team, new offense, new OC. He's done that a bunch, obviously as a backup, but you still got to learn it. So, I mean, maybe there is something to the, hey, this guy at least isn't some rookie who's never played at NFL speed before, and it is the offense that fixed Sam Darnold last year. It is, the offensive line's had its blows, but Darisaw back matters quite a bit. So Wentz feels like somebody phrased this pretty well in the Discord or on Twitter. Just basically like much higher floor, but just no ceiling. It's not like we're going to get the Darnold season where Wentz leads them to 12 more wins after this or something. It doesn't feel that way. But against teams they can and should beat, it doesn't feel like he's going to give the game away or have an absolute, meltdown game. So
why should there be any difference between the way people look at this Wentz Minnesota offense and the Colts with Daniel Jones right now?
That's a good call. I don't know. Wentz just wasn't the same after the injuries too. Not that Daniel Jones hasn't had some pretty bad injuries over the course of, 22, 23 as well. That's interesting. That's a hell of a take. Because not only I think when fully healthy, the Vikings offensive line is right there with the Colts. The Colts is currently probably better. But skill position group, I mean, Jonathan Taylor outpaces anything the Vikings have in like Mason. Mason's
he is a live player relative to Jones.
Aaron Jones, though. Mason looks good. Again, he was in a very positive game state for himself as well. But between Jefferson, Addison, and Mason, it's a pretty good situation. So it does feel like they could make a run at this. But at the same time, it's a probably bad long term for Vikings fans and the Vikings organization. So what if Wentz does go like 4-1 during the time that McCarthy's not able to play? This is our long-term game plan. Again, you're in this weird quarterback purgatory like they've been in for a while when it was clear that, hey, Kirk's getting old. We're probably not going to give him a long-term contract at this age. And then he got hurt, and that really, fixed the problem. So it's a weird spot. Do you go back to McCarthy? And I know that's problems for a different week. We're talking about Sunday morning in Dublin, but it's an interesting dynamic once you get down the line. If he does do even a Daniel Jones light, this week I do expect him to play well. It's another kind of shitty defense right now. You gotta watch for those secondary pieces.
They're getting healthier though.
That's the thing. So right now I have a pretty bad rating for the Pittsburgh defense, but they've been really beat up, and you got to keep an eye on Porter. So what was Porter's situation?
He's probably going. I think. I'm guessing.
Yeah. Again, it's tough because we're waiting for Wednesday injury reports, but Porter, Elliott, eventually we'll have some of this pass rush back.
I think they both matter, and I think they're both going to go.
Okay.
Okay. So a couple thoughts on the Wentz era. I've been asking myself that question about how different should Indianapolis and Minnesota be rated right now. I have Indianapolis as my 8th best offense. The market has them as their 8th best offense. I have Minnesota as my 17th best offense. Market has Minnesota as the 20th best. So that's a big gap. So there's definitely room for the market to capitulate on Minnesota's offense being better than this with Wentz. And I feel like the way this plays out is this is now Wentz's job to lose. I really think that.
It does feel that way.
He's going to start the next 2 games, and the second of those 2 games is just an absolute cherry spot for the Vikings. If they beat the Steelers, which the market thinks they will, and then they take care of business against the Browns, then he's 3-0, and it really is. He's going to have to perform his way out of that job. I also think that the market will be pretty resistant to kind of give him his flowers, right? There's going to be a little bit of, let's see him do it again, like with Jones. And I feel like the minute that the market capitulates and we're like, oh yeah, Wentz is good now, that's kind of when he'll take a dump on the field. I don't think he's to be trusted in the long term at all. I don't think the Vikings are a buy at price. I think what you mentioned of problem for another week is a bigger problem for their season, right? This looks like it could be a very bumpy road because a lot of what Wentz did less poorly than J.J. McCarthy was pretty similar to Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson, and that he just was able to run the offense without taking delay of game and pre-snap penalties, right? The J.J. McCarthy show was a lot of like, I'm not ready to play. And Wentz is perfectly capable to slide in as a backup and just run the offense, just do what he's asked. So I feel like there'll be some capitulation market wide where the Vikings get upgraded the next couple of weeks, and then the rug gets pulled after the bye at some point. But we'll see. I mean, the bye is going to be fascinating for this team for a million reasons, obviously. But to me, it feels like Wentz is going to have to play his way out of this job.
It's fun. We're not even really talking about this game because I don't think I'll be betting this one. Rodgers, somebody mentioned this in the chat. Rodgers has looked bad in international games. Someone, I think maybe the same person, AJ Donaldson, says one of them was against Flores back. So interesting that, there's a little, maybe, I don't know if there's signal there. The Vikings are flying Thursday late, landing on Friday, going to have a practice that afternoon. That is their plan. So they're getting a little later. Maybe a little point against them. I'm pretty close to market here. Not super interested in betting this one. Somebody mentioned Steelers as a teaser leg. Don't hate that. I think this total being where it is kind of helps with that as well. Lower total, which might make sense, as Steelers defense and Minnesota defense are starting to get a little healthier and maybe questionable quarterback play.
I would say my caution flag is up on the Steelers O-line. Cal mentioned it. The Steelers rushing attack is toothless, and the pass protection for Rodgers it hasn't been like bad, but it's bad enough for his state and how interested he is in taking contact that it's just kind of pulling the team apart. Like that offensive line needed to be good for Rodgers to have a chance to have a swan song here, and it's just not. Kind of interested to see if the trends that we saw week 1 and 2 with the Steelers carry through to this week with a kind of a more professional approach, presumably. I will say that like I found it just unbelievably annoying that the Steelers defense gave up as many yards per play and just general success rate as they did. But they won that game against the Patriots because they forced 5 fucking turnovers. Because like that part of it, like they can't keep getting away with this.
Well, it's funny. That's both teams' game plan last week. Hey, let's make a quarterback just turn the ball over constantly, or in the Patriots' case, they're running backs as well. But we'll see.
Defenses,
no bet for me. If somebody has a fun prop on that one, I would love to hear it because I like to wake up and have a little action on Sunday morning. But I will probably wait until we get to the noon window to have any sides and totals. Philly, Tampa, 3.5 now for the
really fun game.
Yeah, Philly showed they had a passing game when they needed it. I'm not so sure they deserve to win, but they did a really nice job of getting back in that game after getting out of that game to start the. It really felt like they were dead in the water there. So kind of a hat tip for putting them even in a position to get that block kick. If you had the Rams, I'm really, really sorry. That sucks. Those things happen. Somebody had to have Philly, though, and that'll be a story you'll tell for many, many, many years. I'm not quite at the 3 here, but I am really struggling to make numbers for both of these teams as Tampa Bay has been incredibly injured up front. And now is going to be down one more wide receiver with Mike Evans going to miss multiple weeks with the hamstring. Egbuka's, he's played and he looked fine, but he's been back. He's been beat up. And then Godwin is a strong maybe. It feels like a yes to me. Godwin and Wirfs kind of feel like this might be the week. And it helped you went 3-0, but you don't. The only thing that I would push against it if I'm not in these team meetings. I don't know exactly how these guys are feeling. But if it's like iffy, being 3-0 helps you push it off another week. Like we're not in desperation mode. We don't have to.
Look at how the Bills are treating their vets who are hurt.
Yeah.
that we're gonna get there in a minute, but one that tells you exactly the same kind of deal. I will say that the Bucks have a little bit less wiggle room. Number one, this is presumably a major game as far as playoff seeding goes. Winner is in the pole position for home field between these two teams. And I would also say that the schedule for this next couple of weeks for the Bucks is pretty gnarly. If you remember when we did our Bucks preview, we basically were like, yeah, they're going to win their first game, and then they're going to lose 4 in a row, and then they're going to win the rest. I think that was basically the way we laid it out. The next 4 starts with Philly this week, and then carries on with, let me tell you, Seattle, with Seattle having extra time to prepare. San Francisco, presumably at a little bit more full strength, week 6. At the Lions, and then it softens finally with at the Saints. But there's definitely a world where they drop 4 straight here. Eagles, Seahawks, Niners, Lions. And then at that point, you feel like, man, maybe we should have pushed our guys a little harder to play that week 4 game against Philly when we were home. And we were, we had a chance to get that one. Ultimately, I think this is the game where you finally see the injury bug break their back?
If I were betting this, and I've looked at this little, even though I said I'm kind of around a 3 on this number, these numbers aren't very firm for Philly and Tampa, and my Philly downgrades they felt unfair after I saw them unleash it a little bit. So it does kind of feel like this might be where the levee finally breaks, and it just, hey, a team is beating us with a pass rush because, even if Wirfs is back, he's just starting to, ramp up towards gameplay again. And we don't maybe have the guys to attack the secondary right now, with Godwin possibly playing, but still coming out of an injury, and Evans out. They're able to lock down the rookie and your tight end. And, if I were to play this, it would be Philly alts. Like, again, Philly minus 6.5, Philly, minus 7.5. And just could be an ass beating. I'm saying if the injuries do come to light, I'm not in love with this one. I'm excited to watch this, but the other part too is just the fact that they haven't really turned the ball over much. If Baker feels close to one of those games.
He's trying.
He's trying. We're
giving it a
college
try.
You put the stick him on your hands if you're a Philly defensive back, because he's going to throw a couple balls that might be out there for you, and you get a couple turnovers,
fumbles. Still don't know how he didn't fumble against the Texans. All right, a fair point. Did you mention Nolan Smith IR'd for Philly?
Yeah, that's
the defense.
I did mention it, but
thin. It's getting a little thin.
Yeah, they don't have unlimited guys up there.
I laid the Eagles here.
Okay.
I don't have a strong case to be made other than I do think this is sort of where we start to see the injuries finally cash in for the Bucs opponents. I also came away from that Jets game like, okay, congratulations. You had some big pass plays against a defense that was missing a key linebacker and has some clear and obvious weaknesses. This is a different ball game. Like, if they think they're going to get anything easy in the passing game against a Vic Fangio style defense, I got bad news for them. This is going to be way, way tougher for them to convert those third and forevers. And so if they're getting holding calls, if Wirfs is anywhere but 100%, this offensive line is still an issue. I think that's sort of where the game breaks in favor of Philly. And honestly, I'm going to take away some positives of that second half with the targets to A.J. Brown, and that is maybe more of what we see for this next chapter of Philly offense.
No, I mean, it's a new offensive coordinator. It might have taken sometimes it takes time. We say this with like rookie quarterbacks. Why can't we say it with rookie offensive coordinators? He finally got his the flames put to his feet a little, and he had to get after it there in the second half. And like I said, I was pretty impressed with what they put together there to get back into that game. And then, as you mentioned, the Fangio stuff, that's tough. Again, it got a little weird with the kick return and stuff, but the Bucs have like a convincing win. I feel like a very fortunate 3-0 team at this point.
All right, let's talk 255. Saints head up to Buffalo. Saints on the road last week, basically no showed about as aggressively as you can on the road. Now they are 15.5-point underdogs to the Buffalo Bills. I mean, this is kind of like, if you want the points, take them. If you don't want to bet the game, just don't bet it. The Bills are treating this like I guess we don't really need to push Oliver back into practice. We don't really need to put Milano back into practice. Go ahead.
Quick note, previous game. The Eagles, I'm sure people saw this, but the Eagles are traveling down a day early to get acclimated to the temperatures. It's going to be pretty hot and sticky. So I think that's a good call. More teams should do that when they're having to travel into bad weather or different weather. But yeah, like you mentioned, they're not pushing guys to be like, hey, we really need you back this week to take out Rattler. They're playing the long game, and that kind of, I think where you're headed there, they're kind of treating this like all right, we should get this one. Let's not let nobody get hurt. Nobody do anything silly. Let's not turn the ball over. Let's not use the good plays. Let's not put a lot on tape. Let's just go out there and win this game by 10 and move on to week 5, guys. This is non-consequential in the grand scheme of things. It's a non-conference game against a terrible team.
Can you just kind of pretend like the 15.5 makes sense and tell me what the fair rating is then for these teams? Because this is the biggest misfit on my numbers, and but that said, I am not touching the Saints in this one.
So, again, we talk ratings and not rankings, but sometimes we'll talk rankings because that part's fun too. And I make the Bills my number one team in the NFL. And I make the Saints the 29th best team in the NFL. And it is really close between 29, 30, and 31. They're not that far out of the basement. Tennessee is still the worst team for me. And I am not close to this number. I'm at a 12.5. Again, not a big difference between some of those numbers up there. But getting backdoored on a 12.5 or getting backdoored on a 15 is you could be up by 21. If you're up by 21, Trubisky's playing, right? The fourth quarter. Sure. There's a decent chance that they're just run Trubisky incomplete on third down punt and see what you guys can do. So, yeah, this is a disgusting one, but I'm pulling the trigger on this. I haven't yet.
Oh, you are playing the Saints.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not a strong play. And certainly we'll probably use the Bills in at least one survivor pool. But boy, that's just too many.
Cal mentioned it. Saints have not just a rest disadvantage here as Buffalo is coming off of Thursday Night Football. They have a travel disadvantage as well as they went from New Orleans to Seattle, back to New Orleans, and then from New Orleans to Buffalo. So good luck to the New Orleans Saints. How many have you been following the predictions or the projections, I guess, for our survivor pools using Buffalo? And do you think the chalky path we take Buffalo?
It feels that way. It's going to be heavy. There's going to be some pools where it's 50% Buffalo because a lot of these favorites are you got Green Bay as a road favorite. After people saw what they did last week, you want to trust them. You got Bo Nix on Monday night. Bo Nix sucks. You want to, and the Lions, I think after people have given them a proper upgrade for how they looked, some people are considering saving the Lions for a holiday, possibly, so there's that. And then the other one Texans. Is Houston, which again, it's Tennessee, fade Tennessee and make money, but watching that Houston offense last week, that wasn't awe-inspiring either. So that's pretty tricky. How many points will the Saints score? I hope they get to like 17.
Sounds right.
28-17 sounds fine. 28 to 10
30,
late.
30
give me a garbage touchdown.
You get there. Yeah.
Give me a garbage touchdown off 30 to 10.
Okay. So I think Bill's chalky survivor path, we take it, and then for our contrarian path, we got to come up with a new one. Our middle path is eliminated thanks to whatever in the world happened at the end of that game with the Packers and the Browns. That sucked. All right. Speaking of the difficult handicaps on the board, Panthers take on the Patriots at 10 o'clock Pacific on Sunday. And this game is in New England, and the Patriots were 5.5-point favorites for most of the week. We finally saw a little bit of Panthers action take this down to 5, but we're still in the dead zone. Not a lot of betting on the total market so far. 43.5 is still widely available, although some sharper spots have come down to 43, so there may be a little bit of market force on the under here. I thought this was going to be a wild misfit when I was finished with my numbers for last week, and I was just going to be like, wow, bet of the week is Panthers. Let's go get them. But I'm not there, actually. I think this 5 is fine. I have some hesitancy on getting involved. I mean, I already played the over on this one, and I wish I could take it back. I think I made a bad bet. The Panthers pass defense is playing a lot better than I expected. Their 2 cover corners are rating extremely well so far this year. I did not see that coming. They have no pass rush to speak of, so Drake May is going to have all damn day, but he might not have many open receivers to throw to. It sounds like Ramondre Stevenson's finally getting the old hookaroonie in favor of it's Travion Henderson's season at long last.
Yeah.
I don't know if that helps or not. Who knows? But I do think that
he looks like
he looks pass rush and the lack of a pass rush and Drake May being, a pretty dangerous arm, and at least what we've seen so far this season makes me think the Patriots are going to score in this one. So I agree with them being favored. A game state where the Patriots are ahead and are moving the ball comfortably and you're not getting pass rush on Drake May, I feel like opens the door for Panthers to have some backdoor points. So maybe 43.5 still gets there. But I wish I hadn't bet this game.
This was one that stuck out, like when I make my notes early in the week, or when I start looking at look aheads. But this was after the Sunday, so I had one of those. You ever get the good feeling? Not
Sure.
that one, not like the good feeling, but the good feeling when you bet on a team and it works out. And I took the Panthers last week, and it worked out, in spades. They covered the spread by 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
It makes you feel good, makes you feel smart, and you have the good feeling about a team, and then it sticks in you. It's something. It's a heuristic. It's something in the back of your head. You've got that confirmation bias, and it makes you like that team a little more. And it makes you look at them real quick, like, oh, that's a sneaky team. And then I looked at the matchup. I looked at the pass rush. I looked at the box score against Atlanta and realized, like, nah, this team still sucks ass. Atlanta just kind of pooped down their leg and really,
pro. Yeah.
Penix, which is surprising against a team without a pass rush. And the Atlanta defense that was part of the handicap. They weren't as good as we've seen maybe against a couple other teams. So I'm pushing away from this one. I'm pretty much on market. I don't have a strong lean on this total. I get what you're saying with the New England offense scoring. Let's see what I have for totals here. I just don't have good enough ratings on these offenses to be super jazzed about this. So I'm like a mild lean to the over. So I'd make this. I'm pretty much right on market with this. I make this total like 44.
Okay. Well, I make it 45. And I played the over, and I'm going to be hoping for a game state that feeds into that and not watching Michael Jordan and J.C. Horn as the new dynamic duo of best cornerbacks in football, preventing Drake May from doing anything in this one.
Not what you want to see with the calf injury with Tat.
Yeah, that was bad. The Christian Gonzalez likely to play news was bad. The fact that there are missing pieces for the Panthers' interior offensive line and that Milton Williams and Barmore are playing really well means there's probably going to be some serious interior pressure on Bryce Young in this game. Everything I've looked at matchup-wise since I bet the over is screaming under. So we'll see what ends up happening. But I'm probably just trying.
I don't have the full story on this, so I don't maybe want to comment, but the Christian Gonzalez stuff has been weird. There's some weird like frustration building inside the building. Basically it was, hey, he had a setback, and now it's like, well, he didn't actually have a setback. He was more injured, or he's not doing his rehab properly, or I don't know what's going on there, but there's some weirdness around him. So something to follow. Another just wild, weird one to try to figure out this week. Washington at Atlanta, maybe the biggest brain puzzler, or maybe the simplest one, honestly, if you want to just say, hey, maybe I don't believe in Penix. I don't think he's any good, and this is a defense that can be beat. You can bet Washington. I've seen people on both sides of this, but Washington, Atlanta, what are we sitting at? Right at a 1 right now for the road faves, and I guess I gotta pull up my new ad screen here.
Atlanta is now 1 point home favorite. There was a flipperini today.
A flippening this morning. Total 45.5, kind of right where it's been. This is a tough one to talk about Wednesday too, where they didn't really give us quarterback news till Friday last week. But I mean, if gun to head, if you made me bet this one right now, I would probably have to bet on one of the worst quarterbacks I've seen all year in Michael Penix, because with the information I have right now, it seems like we're either getting Mariota again or a limited Daniels, and we have our number one weapon on the offense has a hurt quad. Like the Terry injury is everything in this one. He's
Terrible.
such a big part of this offense, and bounce back spot for Atlanta. They're going to do their kitchen sink game. They've got they fired the wide receivers coach. The offensive coordinator's coming down to the sideline. He knows his ass is in the jackpot. Does feel like a kitchen sink game from this offense, and we're going to get some fun stuff. Honestly, I might just play like some Bijan props instead of the grief of trying to bet on an Atlanta Falcons team to win a football game. Feels like, well, I just thought of what would I do if I really needed to push the buttons to make us win a game. I would throw the ball to Robinson in space like 11 times. I don't know. I'd get him on so many screenplays and slants. He'd be in the slot for me like 10 snaps at least. I would push the Robinson button as hard as I could if I was Zach Robinson. No, who's the
Zach Robinson.
That is the OC. Robinson for now. So that might be first coordinator fired. So just gun to head, it's Atlanta. But like I said, I might just look at some props in that one. I can't go to war with the injuries for Washington right now.
No, you think Daniels goes? I kind of think they're gonna keep him on ice.
It feels like I would play the long game with this. It's a road game. I don't know how close he actually was, or if that was just brinksmanship making us wait until Friday. Because in the end, he didn't really practice at all, and it was like, man, he ain't playing. So, it feels like another Mariota without Terry game. And
people are saying this is a revenge game for Marcus Mariota. Do you remember when he was the starter for the Atlanta Falcons and
I watched quarterback
Desmond Ridder?
This is fair. Sam says Mariota's better than half the starters in the league in this offense. Mariota's not bad, and he's kind of the same type of player. So he fits in. It's a poor man's Jaden Daniels. So again, not betting this one. We're gonna steer clear for now.
A skill position group is rough without McLaurin. That was the guy they couldn't afford to lose, which is why it made even less sense that they presumably begot this by dealing with his contract so haphazardly, in my opinion. We'll see.
I do remember that.
Marcus,
you know who they need on the sidelines? Arthur Blank. Nothing bad's ever happened when he's come down from the box.
They decided that Marcus Mariota was not their guy, and they put Desmond Ridder in instead of him, and it did not save their season.
Not a vote of confidence if you've seen Desmond Ridder play. Would Brady be a top 10 quarterback right now? Behind a good offensive line, he'd be a top 5 quarterback right now. His decision making and his arm was still very live. He never lost zing off his passes. He could still play. Put him on the Colts.
AFC.
They're the favorites to win the Super Bowl.
The AFC right now is so fucking lean. It's crazy. There are going to be some bad teams that get in via wild card.
Yeah. Brady behind a bad offensive line would be a problem. He's 100 years old.
I think there are 5 teams that are likely to make the playoffs, and then 2 wild cards in the AFC that are going to sneak in who are just true dog shit.
Yeah, I mean that usually happens.
Minus teams.
That's why on the 7th day the Lord invented the AFC South, just to have something funny to happen. And Kansas City might be one of the 2. That's pretty funny. We'll see.
I think they're clearly the 5th best, and they're going to get in as the 5 seed, and they're probably going to be an interesting. That'll be an interesting line with Indy hosting KC in the 4-5.
Cleveland is a 10-point underdog heading up to the Motown Arena. I don't know what they call it. Ford Field. This total remains ticked down a little. It started to tick down a little more to 44.5. 44 at Bookmaker right now. Cleveland, great showing from the defense last week. Abysmal showing from the offense. I think that's kind of what you're going to get. They've had multiple injuries to offensive tackles. Flacco has been highly inefficient. They're going to stick with him. I don't know. They got the win. I guess what else do you want from them at that point? Detroit is, of course, off short rest for this one. At least they're heading home, and at least they're off a win. The offense looks pretty good at times, as they were dialing up the right things at the right time. Really good second half team. You can't set a team total for them below, 17 anymore, I think. Otherwise, the Sharps are just going to be all over that at halftime. Bigger test here defensively, as Baltimore was missing some important players, as we harped on several times. Cleveland's fairly healthy defensively, and it's a big number. Survivor piece if you want it, but I'm at 11 for this number. A lot of that is because I downweight offense so much, or I upweight offense, and the Cleveland offense is just so bad that they have a terrible rating because of it. So I'm close to this number. Obviously, numbers show a little value on Detroit. Not super interested in laying it here.
My numbers show a little value on Detroit also, and a little value on the under. And the fact that DeJuan Jones is now IR'd, and he was playing pretty well, blindside tackle. And that, what's the deal with Conklin and the eye?
I don't know. That had to be bad for him he's still day to day. Denzel Ward's banged up shoulder, but I think he's going to be fine. Conklin's day to day. DeJuan, he's out for the rest of the season. That was a bad one.
Can I talk you into Browns team total under 17?
It's going to be low. I bet it's 16.5. I think we can do it. What was it? We got ours last week, didn't we? Was it Browns last week? What did we have? Titans or Browns? We took a bad team to be under.
I think it was Browns. Titans was the week before.
Yeah, that Green Bay total turned out to be.
I don't remember.
That Green Bay total turned out to be too high. I was going to say
over week 2. I think we had Browns under last week.
Even if Conklin goes, they're still down a starting tackle, and what are you going to do? Like that, it's still a pretty good pass rush. I was impressed a ton with the Detroit pass rush, front four, run stop, the discipline, the sealing off lanes, maintaining, contain, all the things your high school coach would yell at you for. Like, they were just very disciplined up front, because that's very hard to do when you have a quarterback that runs crazy eights back there, and and suddenly he slips out and he's down the field for 18 yards. There was always somebody right there to grab him by the legs, and that was super impressive. Yeah, I think this total ticking down makes sense, despite how good of that offense looked last week. I mean, we saw what the Browns defense can do against a good unit, and this total ticking down makes sense to me. So Browns team total over, team total under. Yeah, let's do it.
Secret pod play. Let's put it in pencil. See if we come up with anything better. I don't have anything better. I don't have any action in that game, but I lean Lions, I lean Browns before the moves, and so I think we can still kind of capitalize on those two together with the team total under for the Browns.
Tennessee as a 7-point underdog to the dog shit Houston Texans.
Shower fart game of the week of the month.
It kind of is. And shower fart is just always going to be in the AFC South, I guess, because Jacksonville was such a bummer to watch, even in a win. Houston was definitely a bummer to watch, as they felt like they should have won that game 3 times. And Tennessee has been, it's great. It's going to be crazy when Indy wins this division by like 6 games, which is not, they
might be first to clinch.
Not something we touched on in the preview series. Indy clinches Thanksgiving Day, But I mean, these teams do have to play each other all, so they're all going to get a couple wins somehow. Tennessee looked real bad. Cam Ward is not getting it yet. That's I think the worst quarterback performance. PFF had Bo Nix a little worse, I believe, but Ward, he just doesn't have the weapons. He doesn't have he doesn't have it right now. There's just nothing going for him. They don't have they don't have the skill group. They don't have the game plan, the coaching, the scheming looks bad. I think probably feels like a clean house when they do fire. I don't know if we're going to get the Miami under Tennessee on this one. It feels like Callahan might be first. Somebody should absolutely be looking to snatch his dad up. Maybe that's at the end of the year if he sticks it out. It feels like a kind of guy who, even if his kid got fired, he would stick it out unless they told him not to. But I'm not sure who's going to fill in because this is the play calling's been bad, the coaching in general, and then Houston, great defense, awful offense. The worst offensive line I think I have rated, and the run game hasn't been there for most parts of it. One of their best runs was probably a play where Tampa Bay let them get a score. And Nico Collins is amazing. He's had some great catches, but it's just little flashes here and there, and the rest of the offense looks very, very stuck in the mud.
Terrible.
It's another one where the new offensive coordinator hasn't been impressive yet.
The offensive line for the Texans has been terrible. They draw Jeffrey Simmons, who's been the only bright spot for the Titans so far. Brian Callahan is so overmatched at his job, it's pretty appalling. And the kind of furor and the uproar among Titans fans is deafening if you are listening to that part of the internet. And rightfully so. Like he hands over the play, the clipboard. The play calling is now, let me get this right. The offensive coordinator who was previously the offensive coordinator in the interim situation with Pierce and the Raiders. This man's name is...
Waiting for it.
I don't have it. What's his name? It's not Nick Holtz, the OC. It's some.
No, so Nick Holtz is technically the OC. This is their quarterbacks coach, Bo Hardigree. I posted part of his Wikipedia in the Discord the other day because it was like Bo Hardigree was the OC, and then he followed John Fox to the Chicago Bears, and then like 2 sections later, he followed Adam Gase to the Jets. And it's like, I question this guy's decision making. So we'll see. Yeah, and he is an Adam Gase guy. Don't know that this is going to be some upgrade, but the greatest ability is availability. The greatest thing about a new guy that you really haven't seen call plays much is you don't know what you're going to get, and maybe that's hard to game plan for. So that's a boon for them, maybe. I don't know. I show a little value on the Titans here, and that feels ishy. So I could only bet the Titans, and they are, like I said, they're my 32nd ranked team.
Really? My number is 7.6 here.
I'm about
my
a
big
6.
edge is on the under. My fair total is 36.7. I think there's a world where we see the Texans set like a single game sack record.
Total's down to 38.5. Look at it was 40.5. Open 39.5. So it's slowly just matriculated in one direction, and that's that would be the way to go to. I'm not good at making fairs when they get to the far ends of the spectrum, but This is like, hey, this is the 27th ranked offense versus, like a 30th defense. Does Houston get right a little here? Yeah, but maybe not enough to score 30 points. So kind of feels like a 20-17 game. And that still stays under. That's like your ceiling. Because Houston's defense is that good, it might be, honestly, this might be 14-6.
there's been all over the place, excuse me, and the long-lasting rivalry between the Tennessee Titans and the Houston Texans. If you aren't aware, of course, Tennessee stole Houston's football team, renamed the Oilers the Titans, and then the Texans got a new football team with the moniker the Texans, which is substantially worse than the Oilers as far as a nickname goes. And they've played each other 46 times, believe it or not, already. There was a huge stretch of time where this was a boat race every year. You had some 42-36, 41-38, 32-27 just last year.
I just thought it was dumb that they couldn't do what the Browns did and keep the name. Like after they switched it, you're like, well, can we have it back? Because those Oiler helmets were sick, and it feels silly that Tennessee gets to wear them. You know, they get to do the throwbacks, and I don't love that. Like, you guys left, you don't get that.
No action for me in this game.
I might play the worst of the number on this under and still bet it. I'm considering it. All right. This is another team total under where like Tennessee's team total is going to be like 15.5, man. Hey. All right.
I mean, they might get a bunch of drives because the Texans, when the Texans offense isn't working, they're 3 and out and they're not taking much time off the clock. So there were a shit ton of drives in every Texans game I've watched this year.
Over 10.5 punts, even money. Giants
move in. Final 10 o'clock game.
Giants, Chargers. I don't know that I want to handicap this one. We'll just talk about Jackson Dart's starting. I don't know that that's a massive upgrade. He's a rookie. Yeah. Andrew Thomas is back, and he's starting earlier. It said, and they did come out and say he's going to start the rest of the year. I don't know what we're going to get from this guy. It's going to look differently because, you know, some of the stuff didn't look too bad on film the last couple of weeks when Russell wasn't doing silly things, and when the the fourth down, or excuse me, the red zone decision making wasn't a part of the deal. But Dart's probably going to be a little more dynamic. He's a little quicker, a little younger. We'll see if that arm's live, and it's a tough defense to start your season against. At least you're at home. I'm pretty close to being on market here. Total ticking down, I believe. Are we still at 44.5?
Yes.
44 most places now. So coming down further, I get it. Chargers have looked great. Offensive line injuries are obviously impactful and need to be monitored. With the Pipkins was a concussion. What do I have on the Chargers? Mekhi Becton concussion. Pipkins leg injury. Najee Harris done.
Achilles.
But he drafted a rookie. We'll see how it goes. It feels like Chargers defense probably dictates this one. And yeah, if they are missing some offensive players, or excuse me, some offensive linemen, you know, there's some good pass rushers on this Giants team, and they might be able to get home against Herbert a bit. But seems like one thing. Hey, you have one advantage on us. Like, spend your week scheming around that, guys. Figure it out. That's your, that's the game plan. Just don't let this pass rush hurt you, and go after it because you have a better defense. You have a better quarterback. Yeah, I mean, just everything here. So Greg Roman, figure it out. Don't let this pass rush beat you. If you are down, I mean, you're already down one offensive lineman for the year. So it's not a survivor pick. It feels like a high variance.
On this a little bit. Chargers survivor, too much variance. I got to chew on this a little bit because I'm really not sure. I haven't gotten a sense that they're going to be a very popular pick, but the Chargers also have a lot of future value you have to consider. They're not at their best right now. They're going to be stronger later in the year. Anyway,
yeah, it's probably not one I love. And also another clip that came across my timeline was Josh Allen running for like 100 yards against the Vikings as a huge underdog. Like, there is big variance when you have young quarterbacks getting thrown in.
It's funny that you bring up running because the market was very, very warm on the open for Jackson Dart's rushing yards. Do you want to guess what it was?
Like 25?
35.5.
Really?
Yeah. So
without really knowing what the game plan is with him.
The party's over on Chargers opposing quarterback rushing, apparently. The Jackson Dart is going to be very mobile. I'd imagine there's a good amount of running in the game plan. And the Chargers defense is fine, but they don't really have a pass rush. So this could very much get weird. It is worth noting that rookie quarterbacks making their first start in season typically absolutely shit the bed. And there's no reason to think Jackson Dart isn't cut from that cloth. But I would say that the timing here is coincident with Andrew Thomas being back, and as long as Malik Neighbors is healthy for this game, I think that the offense is going to do some things well. So I have no interest in getting involved in this one either way.
Not that long ago,
since we probably saw Russell Wilson make his last start, Andy,
for this team,
probably his last start. Or being honest, he was pretty bad. The end of the Russell Wilson's, the end of that story was pretty sad.
We care a lot.
I just wanted to mention Russell Wilson he came a play away from being the only quarterback to defeat Peyton Manning and Tom Brady in Super Bowls. He was very close.
That's quite the.
He was very close.
And with Tracy out, Scattaboo. I like that look, Bloomquist. Dump off Scattaboo. He's I'm not like a big comic book guy. I did watch the X-Men cartoon when I was a kid. Who's the X-Men that has like the big helmet and he like runs into stuff?
Oh, Juggernaut.
That's what he reminds me of. Maybe Juggernaut. That sounds right. Reminds me of that. Well, Scattaboo's a bad guy too, I guess. He kind of looks like an outlaw.
A villain.
Afternoon, Jacksonville, San Francisco. Probably Purdy.
Yeah, I think
Mac Jones is hurt now. So
if you take the Niners, I think you got to do it soon. I think that's going to 3.5.
With Purdy punched in here, I make this value. Considering it, now you're really making me. Now you're making me antsy to go bet this. Obviously, maybe getting a little downgrade on the defense for the Nick Bosa injury, ACL. They're going to get Demarcus Robinson off of suspension, which helps because they're kind of banged up in the wide receiver room at this point. Pearsall not practicing. That would be ideal if he could play. He's played pretty well. And then another offensive or defensive tackle, CJ West, broke his thumb in the game for the Niners. He may play, though. They may just put a cast on it and say, you're a defensive lineman, you don't need thumbs. And then I don't have an update on Diami Brown for the Jags, but he's been useful on another weird team, as we talked about. Maybe one of the worst games I watched big chunks of late in the afternoon there. Jaguars, Texans, pretty rough hang as both teams tried to give it away to each other multiple times. I don't know. We'll see. I think Purdy goes, and I'm probably betting the Niners here.
Yeah,
so I have
agree.
I have a very ugly view of the Jags right now.
Yeah, I think I would. There were a couple of threads about Trevor Lawrence's performance floating around in the fantasy space that I strongly agreed with. I was like, yes, that's exactly what I saw every time this guy drops back. Like, the scripted stuff for the Jags looks great. When he is asked to go to his first read and they specifically have it drawn up for the first read to be open. And the early parts of these games with Cohen look great. And then as soon as it turns into he has to make decisions, it's just going directly to his first look, and the defense is all fucking over it. And it's just the offense dries on the vine after the early portion of the games. I don't know if this is a long-term problem or if this is fixable. Early in the season, plenty of teams make adjustments and fix issues like this, but with Trevor Lawrence, it feels mental. It feels like he might be a Mimbo.
Can't miss. And yeah, the Shane Waldron mentioned in the chat. Yeah, he is some sort of offensive assistant here. So Or is he calling play? Who is calling plays for the Jaguars? That is escaping me at the moment.
I would guess it was Liam.
Yeah, I mean it's just him, right? He's not.
I would guess.
Like, well, because you hear some of these things where who was it last year where it's like I was calling second down and this guy was calling third down. I didn't know if there was some sort of group thing going on, but yeah, I suppose it is just Liam.
Oh, their OC is named Grant Udinsky. No relation.
To who?
To me.
Are you a Udinsky?
I'm sure the Dinskys go way back. Yeah.
Probably they probably just changed your name from Udinsky to Dinzik at Ellis Island.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Probably. I mean that happens. Yeah, I bet the Niners. I'm very bummed out by the Jaguars this year, as well as most of that division. One of the greatest stories in all of 2025, and 3 absolute fucking bummers. That is the AFC South right now. Speaking of coming out of Bummerville a little, the Jaguars or the Chargers, the Chicago Bears. I can't say team names.
Wow,
be having a stroke.
Wait, you jumped Colts Rams.
I did. I do this every time in the late window. I skip one. Indy Rams. The best story. Finally getting some tough competition. Kind of pumping the brakes on betting this. This is a great, hey, let's watch this game and see just how good this team is that has played some kind of bad teams. As it turns out, Bo Nix stinks. You got a little lucky at the end. You played the Titans. Congrats to you. This is a 2-game stretch between the LA teams that is going to test your mettle, Daniel Jones. I still believe that the play calling, the scheming, the offensive line, and just what they're doing, like he's always throwing to open guys. And that's not just Daniel Jones being good. That's scheme. That is play calling. That is also the play of those skill position players, but he's always throwing to open guys. And some of that was against the Titans, and that's hard. But like the way they pressed on Patrick Surtain, the way that we've seen this team just have a very competent offense, they're live. They're live against good teams. I'm just not wagering money on
it. This is probably the market. This is one of 2 markets that I'm the most interested in seeing how it goes. Why are you laughing?
Yeah. So this is the guy from the Discord.
Oh, the Bears are so
Ryan. He pumps up the Bears a lot.
Loves the Bears.
Big Bears guy.
Gravity is strong. Bears gravity. Anyway, the Colts Rams is one of the markets I'm the most interested in right now. It's basically sitting at like 3.25. If you want to lay 3 with the Rams, you can do it at bookmaker at -127. If you want to lay 3.5 with the Rams, Pinnacle will give you +103. So it's basically kind of a halfway. And my interest in this market is which way does this break? The Colts were bet with reckless abandon last week as a 2-0 team on the road for the first time. People could not get enough Colts, and it was obviously the right call. The Titans were terrible. The Colts were awesome. I'm curious as to whether the action we've seen supporting the Colts now 3 straight weeks is related to belief in the Colts, or is this more of like taking on the Dolphins week 1, betting against Bo Nix week 2, betting against the Titans week 3? Like if the signal is actually, boy, do I guess we got to go to war with the Colts because we've got to bet against these other teams, or do people really want to go to war with the Colts? Like, I'm curious of what the answer is, because this is a tougher matchup for them. For all the positives you want to give, all the flowers you want to give to the offensive line in particular for Indianapolis, I think most of their success really comes down to run blocking. And I think a lot of questions still remain as to how good they're going to be in true pass sets. And I think in general, this game is going to answer some of those questions because the pass rush for the Rams freaking rocks. And these guys at home are going to be up their ass. And I think there's going to be a very clear a clear conclusion after you see this game of, God damn it, Daniel Jones handled that pressure like a fucking pro. He's back.
Well, And that's the thing with this
like,
game.
That's the Daniel Jones I remember. When he was under duress, he was unable to, kind of actually do things. It's going to go one of those ways. And I'm dying to find out what the market thinks heading into this game, because this either goes out to a flat 3.5 or it goes down to 3, depending on whether people are getting off the bus or still riding this Colts team, I think.
And I think I want to live bet this one, because that feels like the key to the game. It's like when you watch these games and they're like, "Hey, Troy, what are your keys to the game here?" And, well, they got to establish the run, buddy. And, they're looking to convert third downs today. But like you mentioned, the pass rush versus what we consider to be a pretty good offensive line. And if early in the game, it looks like the offensive line is winning that battle, even if it's just, hey, drop pass, bad run, they end up punting. If we get a drive or two in and it looks like they're kind of holding their own, consider betting the Colts live. Because I think you're kind of on it there. If they're causing havoc and Daniel Jones isn't just smiling back there and finding open receivers quite easily against the Titans like he did last week, it might not go so well. But if he's given time and Steichen's calling the right plays again and just finding these guys open constantly, it's just going to be another spot where they can win this game. Maybe it's not a money line, but if there's maybe the Rams score first and I can get a decent number on the Colts there. Pierce, don't know, kind of feels out. Maybe they haven't said yet. It was a concussion late in the game. Not practicing yet, so it's a concussion. You never know. It seems like he's out, but we'll see. Kenny Moore is almost certainly out, it sounds like, with the calf injury in the defensive backfield. I think Ward is fine now. And then for the Rams, I don't know. Did we get an Avila update ever? Do we get updates on him, or?
Haven't seen it come across the wire yet, and I keep refreshing.
Yeah, I've had no news on him for a couple days. Something to watch for in later this afternoon's practice reports. Okay. Now the Bears? He does.
No, real quick. I want to say I think the matchup that favors the Rams is pretty obvious. Like, their wide receivers against the secondary should have plenty of opportunities to make plays. I hesitate, though, to believe that this is going to be just a good Stafford game, because most of the time Stafford really shines when you blitz him aggressively and you put your cornerbacks on islands. And what Lou Anarumo is doing so far is more of the mix it up, confuse you, and try to just generate pressure with only bringing 4. They're not a blitz-happy team. They are doing some good disguising, and I could see Stafford being a little inconsistent here because of the matchup, which brings me to, I feel like this total being 49 is absurd.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some 49.5 now even.
I'm into under 49 on this one. I think this is my favorite total of the week.
There's a 50 at Bovada. Yeah, interesting. I guess I hadn't thought about that.
Penny's at 50 also.
With
I got
Kenny
under 49,
Moore out,
like plus 102 or something like that.
Okay. No
Kenny Moore out's concerning.
Yeah.
There could be some big pass plays in this one, because the depth of cornerback for the Colts is pretty bad.
Yeah, I don't make it a terribly strong defense. It's the power
24th.
ratings of. Yeah, I'm down there in the 20s. The power rating has gone up in the strength of the offense. So,
yeah, my Rams defense right now is top 9. My Colts are 24th, but it's just a styles thing that I feel like this total is too high. My fair total is 46 and 46.8. So 47, we'll say. So under 49 for me. Bears
coming off a nice win. Free wieners for everybody. And they go up and they're going to go get the Vegas flu, I guess. So we go out to Las Vegas. Late game for the Monsters at the Midway. Taking on a Raiders team that I don't have a good grip on yet, but they are definitely kind of right in the same range for me, rating-wise. This total is about at a 48 now, as that's kind of ticked up and pick 'em. Basically, a pick 'em now. I have upgraded Chicago. I still have concerns about some of the injuries that they've suffered over the first few weeks. But obviously, we saw a pretty good outing by the offense, and that's what matters in today's NFL. I'm still close in these two teams, and with a little bit of home field, and granted, there's going to be a lot of Bears fans there this week. Slight edge to the Raiders. Not something I'm looking to bet, though.
I did bet the Raiders. And it's mostly two things. I do think you're getting a mini buy low on the Raiders because they are coming off of the what, Andy? The Widowmaker spot.
They are coming off the Widowmaker.
And now they get to take on a Bears team that doesn't have a secondary with an explosive passing game that can exploit that.
Yeah,
yeah,
the total ticked up. Looking at my fares, it's not overtly calling for an over, but the matchups definitely are benefiting, the wide receivers here versus the secondary. I guess I'm kind of in the middle of the pack, little lower for the Raiders defense. I have a pretty low rating on the Bears defense right now, and then the Bears and Vegas are above average offenses right now for me.
If you blindfolded, if you gave me my numbers for these two teams and you held them up, you said which one is which, I would only be able to tell you because I have a lower number on coverage for the Bears than the Raiders, and it's not by much. I think the Bears are they're the same team, slightly worse coverage. And I think that will matter considering the explosive nature of the passing offense for the Raiders. The scripted portion of the offense for the Bears has been sublime. The rushing attack is still nothing that I'm excited about at all. No. It's all passing, and the Raiders' passing defense is pretty sus. But Caillou Blue Kelly getting a lot of opportunities to play defense for this Raiders team is their starting right cornerback. Eric Stokes has been good in my opinion, but CB2 and Nickelback have been pretty bad, and the safeties aren't really helping much. So definitely a scary play getting involved against a Bears team that is starting to put it together offensively, but I think this Bears secondary is a huge problem, and I think the Raiders are going to exploit it. Meanwhile, Caleb Williams against a pass rush led by Max Crosby might be running around with like a chicken with his head cut off after the first quarter.
Do you remember Brian Kelly?
I do.
Of course. He was on the what was that year that they won the Super Bowl for the Bucs, the earlier one?
2002. I
think so. He was actually your interceptions co-leader that year as well, with tied with Rod Woodson. That's Caillou Blue's dad.
Is it really?
Yeah, fun fact. Fun fact for you today, because I don't have a lot else to say on that game. I hate betting these overs that have already been steamed up a little, but that's the only way I could go with this one. I agree with a lot of what you say, but at the same time, if the Bears are starting to get it, it doesn't feel like blind squirrel found a nut. It's like, the guy who was setting records for points scored last year with the Lions is starting to get it with a young quarterback with a couple of good wide receivers. Like against a secondary, I think I can fade a little. Yeah, I could only go over here. So if you
knew you were going to get a full 4 quarters from CeeDee Lamb, would you bet the Cowboys again in the same market against the Bears from last week?
Yeah. I think that how much of the playbook does that cut out if you don't have CeeDee Lamb? Like half of it?
A humongous amount of it.
Like, that's sucked.
I'm not. It's a surprise.
Yeah.
Right now, right now I have these two. This is crazy how similar I have them rated. Chicago's my 15th best offense, tied with the Raiders for 15th best offense. Raiders are my 23rd best defense. The Bears are my 27th best defense. Pass rush for the Raiders is a little bit better than the Bears. Coverage for the Bears is a little bit worse than the Raiders. So
Yeah, give me the over here. I'm going to take a little swing on this 48.
All right, nice.
The game that'll actually be on the TV. Ravens Kansas
Chiefs.
City.
I bet the Ravens -112. 2.5 -112. I think this goes to 3. And I think the Ravens win out the rest of the regular season.
Still a very, very good team. Just a bad matchup, bad spot. And boy, the Lions really picked their spots on when to continue to smash the tight end button on 3rd and long, 3rd and medium, 3rd and anything. They converted whatever they want. They were aggressive where the Ravens weren't. And kudos to the Lions. That was an impressive win against what is still a really good team. I lean that way. I don't have the balls to pull the trigger. But I don't know. Like, my Kansas City number is very confusing. It doesn't feel right. Like the amount I downgraded them just doesn't feel right. But not looking good in any of the phases of football right now. Beat a bad team. Mahomes doesn't have receivers. You got Tyquan Thornton as your big threat. I don't know. Like, it's just not the same team that we've seen for even when we were down on these teams and big chunks of the regular season over the past couple of years. It was never like this. It never felt like this, where it's like Mahomes is missing stuff. The play calling feels a little stale. As good as Andy Reid was in Philly, eventually it came to an end. Like, all good things, eventually you run out of ideas. I don't know. Like, I don't get what's happening here, because it just feels like, is the play calling actually bad? Am I overthinking it, or it's just like they have no wide receivers that are healthy? Like, this will get better once we get some guys back from injury and suspension, or God knows what they need to do. Kelsey looks like he's not on the same page as the other 10 guys in the field half the time. And the defense isn't as good as I thought it'd be. So kind of a weird downgrade. I have Chiefs are like a 1.
Yeah, that's where I'm.
I'm at a point. I'm at a 0.71 for the Chiefs. That's wild.
So
I haven't had them below a 4 for like 3 years.
So you're even lower than me, and yet you don't want to lay 2.5 with the Ravens?
Where am I at? I got my home field jacked up here. I'm kind of right on market. I'm still waiting on some injury stuff for the Ravens. The Ravens defense feels like a get right spot if they continue to just have that problem up the middle. I think it's a close game. It's still a very tough. It's a very tough road game for them. It's still not an easy spot.
Definitely,
Coming off the short week. Going to Arrowhead, that's still not easy. That's a good home field advantage there. So,
Okay.
Yeah, under.
Okay.
That's getting a little action, isn't it?
I feel like the Ravens defense is constructed to be specifically exposed by the likes of the Bills and the Lions. And I feel like the Chiefs don't have the same tools to do it.
Maybe that's what you needed to say to me a minute ago. Does that makes sense in my head? Where it's like, I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I said it all. I didn't put it together. Where
sure.
Hey, the Chiefs don't have these playmakers to extend drives. What did the Bills? Yeah. What did the Lions do to them? They extended drives constantly with their playmakers.
Yeah.
And
I feel like the day that Rashee Rice is back in the building, rewrite your numbers on the Chiefs. And until then, it is literally like, I don't think you can count on this team to show up and look good offensively. I just don't see it happening. There are who's a minus? Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. You know who's a minus? Every wide receiver outside of a neutral for Tyquan Thornton. Like, there's just so many players who do not belong on the field. And in today's NFL as major difference makers. And I feel like Kelsey, for where he has drifted away from us in terms of just being a game breaker and a difference maker, like, Rashee Rice was the perfect complement for that because he could take a lot of that intermediate stuff and generate immediate separation, solid yak. He was the guy that was going to step into that role and be sort of the natural transition for Kelsey, and him not being available last year and so far this year is really stunting the development of that offense. And it feels like, to the degree they wanted to flip the switch and be more explosive and have Pat throw the big balls down the field, like, it hasn't gone smoothly. Like, you said it yourself, like, his deep ball has not been good, and it is notable that he doesn't have chemistry with the guys he's throwing it to know that they're going to be in a certain spot. So he might just be kind of throwing it a little bit blindly. And Worthy will probably get some reps this week. I would guess he is not 100%, but he'll be out there. I don't think that fixes things in week one. And yeah, the Ravens, Chiefs defense is in trouble here. The Chiefs defense had a tough time with Russell Wilson and company. I think the Ravens are going to score every time they touch the ball.
That's fair. And the only fly in the ointment possibility that Xavier Worthy is back this week, but we'll see how effective he is with that shoulder can't feel right yet. He's practicing. There's a possibility, but he's not going to want to be taking some big hits over the middle. I'd be alligator armed as a motherfucker if I was coming back from a shoulder injury like that, going to play against a Baltimore defense with some hard-hitting players in the secondary. So I agree with you. I'm just chicken shit to bet it, which leads us into Sunday Night Football. Final game, Green Bay get-right game on the road in Dallas. Now 7-point favorites at some shops, mostly 6.5s. This was 5 last week. Total was 49 on the look at, all the way down to 47 now, with a tough Green Bay defense facing a CD less. They don't have a CD. That's a problem. They don't have one of their offensive linemen two now. Yep, for an extended period. As good as Dak has looked, a big part of that was just the fact that you had CeeDee Lamb, and he's very much a mismatch for basically anybody trying to cover him with one person or any sort of soft zone where he has room underneath. He's just going to get you easy short to medium yards constantly over and over. Even with the drops early in the season, he had like a 100-yard game. That stinks really badly. This is a much, much easier test defensively for the Green Bay offense. Feels like they get theirs. It's hard to lay a touchdown on the road, but boy, if there's ever a bounce back spot where you wanted to just hate fuck somebody, boy, this is kind of there for Green Bay. This is it for Green Bay. So Green Bay minus whatever, if you like them. Curious about this total dropping down.
Well, it's because this could be a shutout.
Yeah, just Dallas just might not score. This could be the Ravens Texans game, or just 31-2.
This could be Bears Cowboys.
Yeah,
it should be more than that, honestly.
Yeah, what we saw last week was Dallas. They got theirs at times, but the Bears defense was very beat up. It still is, and this is a much higher rated offense for Green Bay and a much higher rated defense. And if you flip it, you flip, let's say 3.5, 4 points. You say Green Bay's 3.5 points better than the Bears? Probably a little more than that. So yeah, my numbers can't quite get there, but I'd lay it with Green Bay if I was betting this one.
Yeah, I did. I laid it with Green Bay. I got a bad price. I kind of expected the Zach Tom was already built into the price, but apparently it wasn't, because once it was announced that he was unlikely to go today, that was when it came off the 7. I think Packers 6.5. Packers alts fine. I think my favorite matchups are going to be Micah Parsons against Terrence Steele, Micah Parsons against TJ Bass, Micah Parsons against Brock Hoffman, Parsons against Tyler Guyton. Really, everyone besides Tyler Smith on this offensive line looks like a pass pro liability now. And CeeDee Lamb not being available means we're going to get 14, 15 targets to Jake Ferguson. Good luck. maybe they find ways to get Jalen Tolbert and Kevontae Turpin more involved in this game. But Pickens sliding up to now CB1 and getting covered by one of the better cover corner tandems in the NFL feels like a problem for him making any game-breaking plays. Like, I really think Packers defense pitching a shutout in this one is possible. And then from when the Packers have the ball, I like the matchup of Packers wide receivers against Kaiir Elam or whoever you're backfilling Deron Bland and Diggs with, because those guys are also bad.
Yeah.
This Cowboys team on paper grades very poorly for me right now. I can't believe how much CeeDee Lamb mattered. And I guess I can't believe how much Deron Bland and Diggs mattered. Like, this unit is
very beatable.
Very beatable.
Mm-hmm. I might join you there. There's a good 6.5 out there for me.
What's your Dallas number right now? Minus what? Minus 3 points.
No, I haven't fully downgraded him yet. That's why I said I can't quite get to this number.
I still got a 6 for Dak in there, and I'm at minus 3.6.
I think I got to go lower on skill. It's like George Pickens is a very good receiver, so I have trouble dropping this too far, but the secondary is so bad right now. And, the coverage unit is like all-time low right now. So I'm not that low. I have Dak as a 6 as well, but I'm only at a minus 1.72.
You know what would really make this a difficult handicap? If Micah Parsons was on the Cowboys.
Yeah. My favorite quote was when they had Jerry. Jerry said, "There's nothing saying we won't take those picks that we got from the Packers and trade them for some sort of game-changing player on the defense. Like we're in some sort of simulation and he's fucking with us." Like, what did you say out loud? Oh my God.
You know why they could use Micah Parsons? Because the issues with the tackles right now for the Packers is real, and it's affecting their ability to run block, establish the run at all, and it's putting Jordan Love under distress. Last week's matchup against the Browns was amazing to watch live. Like, holy shit. And actually, I was fucking pissed because it's like, why couldn't the Commanders have done something like this? Why did it look so easy in that Thursday night game without Banks and Tom? And now it's like you're up against I know the world-beating Cleveland Browns D-line is different than anything the Commanders have, but it was still like, God damn, like couldn't get anything. So I'm chalking that up to the perfect storm of problematic, surprise, your offensive line isn't what you thought, combined with the incredible D-line for the Browns. And I don't think any of that's going to manifest in this game, considering the pass rush specialists for the Cowboys who are in the witness protection program.
Yeah. Not looking great. What are we landing on for team total then? Browns under?
You know what? There's one thing I forgot to mention.
Go ahead.
Kenny Clark revenge game?
Maybe a little bit, but feels like it's overshadowed by another revenge game that we'd have in this one.
All right. I don't think I like anything better than I like Browns under. What do you think?
Nah, I'm sticking with that. Secret team total is the Browns under, should come in at 16.5. Like to see him get to 10. Love to see him try. What's your favorite bet on the board to close it out then for this week? I don't know if I have one. I don't want to say Thursday.
I'm going to go with Ravens.
It might be Thursday.
I think it's the Ravens for me. Ravens at 2.5. This closes 3. I feel it in my bones. And I see you can find some minus 114s out there at a sharp book labeled with the letter P.
P sharp.
You can get 2.5 minus 107 at Profit X, apparently. The Ravens, I think, put up a 30 burger, and the Chiefs, I don't think, are getting 227 in this one. I'll just throw that out there.
30 burger. My favorite's probably that. You know what? It wasn't even one. I had it highlighted, but I hadn't bet it until just now. And it was the Niners.
Niners minus 3. It's a good.
Yeah,
one.
you talked me into
like
it.
that
I had it highlighted. I needed to feel it out, but you added some urgency there because it feels like once we get news on some of the injury stuff, it's going to go one direction for and I'd much rather lay a 3 there than a 3.5.
I got one thing to say about that, and I agree with you. Sad that Nick Bosa's ACL is no longer intact, but you know who matters a shit ton more to that defense is Fred Warner. Oh my God. Like, as long as Fred Warner is fine and healthy and on that field, like, the Niners defense is going to be just fine. So, I don't know.
He might be. It's hard to do like a linebacker Mount Rushmore because the linebacker position in like 1980 was so different. You know, and you have all these big, hard-hitting, everybody was an off-ball linebacker. It's so different. But like modern linebackers, he's like number one, man. He's so good. He's been so good for so long.
Yeah. How many points are the Browns going to score on Sunday?
6-7. Just going to keep doing it for Connolly. The kids think that's so funny. The kids have the dumbest memes. I got called out of the I got called out of the stands last night at a volleyball game because they didn't have enough refs. And they said, "Hey, will you line judge?" And I said, "Of course I'll line judge." And when the score was 6-7, I pointed it out to some of the kids and they laughed. Some of the cool line judge, no big deal. I still don't fully understand the meme, but we will roll with it. We'll
has
be back
to do
tomorrow.
with LaMelo Ball. Do I have this right?
It's a song. I mean, I'll play the song for you. But yeah, I think he's involved in the song. Again, it's very confusing and dumb. I think kids are just getting dumber. All their moms took Tylenol. That's just what happened.
I mean, it's they're connecting to the Skrilla track "Doot Doot." So
Doot.
if you don't need to twist my arm to convince me that there's something that malfunctioned in the development of these poor kids. Yeah,
it's a bad song. I've listened to it.
Oh my God.
All right. Hey, we'll catch you tomorrow. We'll go run through all the awards markets as we do every Thursday morning. That's one of the most fun shows of the week, I think.
Dude, this song has a lot of bips. There's a Baby Shark call out. What in the world is happening? There's a lot of bips as well.
It's a rough listen. I can't listen to this mumble shit. We stand for Van Morrison. I know. I'm
officially old.
So, all right, let's hit the music. Let's call it long one today. We get into the bye week soon. We're gonna get a little bit of respite.
Not soon enough.